Hello, everyone. From that clickety clack sound, it's time for TV Oblivion, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 26, season 2. It's a new season. And today's date is December 31st, 2022, and this is the last day of the year. And thank you for joining me today. So here is today's lineup. From the 1940s would be the children's television series, The Howdy Doody Show. From the 1950s, the action series Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. From the 1960s, the animated series Breezely and Sneely. From the 1970s, the television sitcom Friends and Lovers. From the 1980s, the action drama Blue Thunder. From the 1990s, the TV sitcom All American Girl. And from the 2000s, the legal drama Century City. So this should be a very interesting lineup. And I have a lot to talk about. So right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Citrus Hill Orange Juice. And there's a commercial from 1987. So sit back and enjoy, and I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone.
Yesterday, my doctor told me my family could have a calcium deficiency. She said 7 out of 10 Americans don't get enough calcium.
But thanks to this, I feel much better. It's new Citrus Hill plus calcium.
How's it taste?
Great!
That's 100% pure orange juice plus calcium.
And its CCM calcium delivery system is a better source of calcium, so it's even more readily absorbed than the calcium in milk. That's why new Citrus Hill plus calcium is the first product to be accepted by the American Medical Women's Association of 10,000 leading women physicians.
And what's more important, it's been accepted by this family.
New Citrus Hill Plus Calcium, also available in grapefruit, the better new source of calcium for
my family's health.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Citrus Hill Orange Juice. I'll give you a little history of that. It was introduced in the market in 1982 from the Procter & Gamble Company. And let's see. I remember the commercials very well, and it was trying to compete with Minute Maid and Tropicana, which are still around to this day. I love orange juice, always have. I don't drink it every day. I don't know why. When I have it, it's delicious and all that. Then let's see. So they advertised it all throughout the 80s, and then let's see, and then there was like some false advertisement. Somebody sued, and because it wasn't a true product for some reason. I don't know the whole details, but then it was discontinued in 1990, and that was that. But I remember the commercials very well, particularly that one that just aired, and I tried it once. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all, but my favorite orange juice is Minute Maid. Yeah, it's Minute Maid or Tropicana. I think I like Tropicana. Yeah, I like that a lot. So I remember Birdseye made orange juice. I don't know if they still do. I haven't seen it. So we'll see. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I gave you the the lineup for today's show. So let's get started. And we're going to start off with something very nice. We're going to start about the Howdy Doody show. And let's see. So actually, it's the 75th anniversary of the show. And that first aired on December 27, 1947. And it aired on NBC. So I'll give you a little background of the show. Okay. And it was a children's television program, and let's see. So it was one of the first series that was made for children. I don't know if it was the very first, but I think it was the most successful. And then it was all in black and white. And the first season it aired for an hour. And then that ran from 1947 to 1948. The only time after that ran for an hour was the series finale in 1960, and then it was a half-hour show from 1948 to 1960. And it was from black and white from 1947 to 1955. And then it turned into color from 1955 to 1960. So it ran 5 years for that. And the star of the show was, of course, Howdy Doody. And the creator was Buffalo Bob Smith. And we all remember him dressed up. His real name was Robert Emil Schmidt. And he was a radio announcer, and he provided the voice of Howdy Doody on radio, on a show. And then they moved over to TV. It was a TV program first called Puppet Playhouse, and then they changed the name. And then it was filmed in New York. I don't know if it was live or anything. Maybe, I'm not sure. And so Howdy Doody was not only the character on the show, and it grew very popular. And then they started merchandising, courtesy of Macy's department store in New York. And there was a big legal battle with that, so I won't go into that. That's too long to describe about that. So I would, and something. Here's something interesting: the freckles on Howdy Doody's face. Let's see, represented each state of the Union. So he had 48 freckles at the time. There were 48 states in that time. Alaska and Hawaii came later. So maybe they added a freckle, maybe two, like that. And, he was a marionette, like puppets. And I don't know how they did that, did his voice, but later on, Buffalo Bob didn't do the voice. Someone else did that as well. And let's see, this took place in Doodyville, and it was a town. And here are the rest of the people that lived there at the time. I'll read. There's a list of that. Here is Heidi Doody, who was adopted and became Howdy's sister. There was Phineas T. Bluster, and he was the mayor, and he was not a nice man. He was let's say he's a cheapskate. There was Petey Bluster, Phineas' nephew. Don Jose Bluster, the South American Bluster brother. And there was Thaddeus Bluster, another brother. And also, he had another brother, Hector Hamhock Bluster. He was from England. Thaddeus was just another one. Another character was very popular was Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring. And she was first introduced as a puppet. And then it was played by actress Judy Tyler. And she was a very pretty lady. She didn't do much television. She was famous for her role opposite Elvis Presley in the classic film Jailhouse Rock. I haven't seen that movie in ages, and I've seen it a couple of times. It's good, and she was wonderful in it. And after, I don't know when it was released, but she died in a car accident with her husband on July 3rd, 1957. She was only 24 years old, and that was sad like that. And according to sources, Elvis didn't want to watch the movie when it premiered because it was too painful. I think he fell in love with her, and maybe, I don't know if he did after that. I'm not sure. But I love the movie, and of course the music and the dancing in the jail cell. Like Jailhouse Rock. So that was great. Okay, and there was Dilly Dally, and he was a friend of Howdy. Also, there was Inspector John J. Faduzzi. Yeah, he was a private eye. There was Chief Thunderthud and Chief Featherman, two Native American characters. And there was J. Cornelius Cobb, the shopkeeper, who didn't like clowns. There was Sandra the Witch, Captain Windy Scuttlebutt, and also here's my favorite, Flubadub. He was a combination of 8 animals. He had a duck's bill, a cat's whiskers, a spaniel's ears, a giraffe's neck, a dachshund's body, and a seal's flippers. Oh, and also a pig's tail and an elephant's memory. So that's an unusual character, I might say. And there was also animal puppets. There was hide and seek. There were bears, Mambo. There was an elephant. Tizzy, a dinosaur. Paddle. He was a Gnu, Jnu. Also Tommy Turtle, the slow talking turtle. And the human characters, besides Judy Tyler's character, was of course famous Clarabelle. And he was first played by Bob Keeshan. Later on, went to Captain Kangaroo. He created that wonderful man. He got fired. I heard he got fired, then he got replaced, and then they call him back, and then he got fired again. And let's see who else. Oh, and there was Sir Archibald, Chief Thud, head of the Uragnak tribe. Spells kangaroo backwards. And his greeting was Kawabunga. It was like that. And yeah, of course, there was Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring, like I mentioned that before. And there was someone named Gus Gasbags. He made animal balloons like that. So it was very popular, the show that is, and kids loved it. And that ended in 1960. On the last show of the series, was the first time Clarabelle spoke. Clarabelle never spoke at all. He wasn't allowed to, but he did, and he said, "Goodbye, kids." That was the end of that. And some of the shows are on they were filmed on Kinescope, and some are on DVD and on YouTube. If you care to watch, that's I've watched a few. It's fun. It really is. And there was, of course, the Peanut Gallery, where there was an audience full of kids, and they start singing, they start yelling. Oh, that's hilarious. But the show was revived in the 70s, courtesy of TV's Happy Days. And Buffalo Bob Smith and Howdy Doody appeared on the show. Buffalo Bob looked a little older, but he still got it. I remember watching this episode. It was off. It was not awful. It was wonderful. So it was revived again, and original air date was February 18, 1975. I remember this. This was aired on WGN TV Channel 9 in Chicago. I watched a couple. It was okay, but it only lasted not very long. It had about 33. No, this is the Happy Day show. Never mind. So that show was syndicated, and it didn't do very well. So let's see. So it started. Yeah, let me start again. The series started in 1976, about August, and then it went off the air January 1977. And it was canceled. It was in color, of course, and all the characters were back. Clarabelle was back, and the puppets. So that was fine. Okay. Let's see. So right now I'm going to play the introduction of Howdy Doody Show. And, of course, you'll hear the kids yelling, "It's Howdy Doody time," and then they'll start singing. So sit back and enjoy. It's fun to listen to this. Thank you, everyone.
Say, kids, what time is it? Oh, well, howdy doody, kids, and howdy, Buffalo Bob. Well, howdy, Mr. Doody. And boys and girls at home and kids in the gallery, let's go. Buster, and boys and girls, here we are again with more Howdy Doody time, direct from the Howdy Doody Circus. Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring,
Hello, Buffalo Bob.
and Dilly Dally,
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Phineas T. Bluster.
The T is for Tweety.
I know. And the Flubadub,
Where would they be without me?
and me, Buffalo Bob.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the introduction of the Howdy Doody show. Like I said, it was funny. Let me talk a little bit more about Judy Tyler. Let's see. She was born Judith May Hess in New York City on October 9th, 1932. She was raised in Teaneck, New Jersey, or across the river. She came from a showbiz family, and I think her father was in a band, and then she did some acting on Broadway, and then I guess she got offered for the job. She didn't do much besides Jailhouse Rock. She only appeared in one other movie called Bop Girl Goes Calypso. I never heard of this movie. You ought to check it out, and might be interesting. And I think she appeared in a Jalrustic Theater. Just one appearance in that show. And of course, she made a guest appearance on Perry Mason. I haven't seen that episode. I have it on DVD. I've got to check it out. And it aired about 6 months after she died. So she probably filmed it before she was killed. So that's really scary. That's terrible when it happened. And, she's not remembered. She's only remembered from her role in Howdy Doody as Princess Summer, Fall, Winter, Spring. She only, excuse me, she was only on a show for about a few years. And then I think the puppet took over on that show. So, because I don't think she wanted to be saddled with that role forever. Yeah, I hope she enjoyed it. Who knows? We'll see. Okay. Next up, we're going to talk about another television show called The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. Okay, and this first aired October 15th, 1954, and ended May 8th, 1959 on ABC. It was a half-hour show. Ran for 5 seasons, 164 episodes. And it was starred Lee Acker as Rusty. He was raised by the U.S. Cavalry. He was an orphan, and he was raised by Lieutenant Rip Masters. That was played by actor James E. Brown, and the co-stars was Joe Sawyer and Rand Brooks, and of course Rin Tin Tin. And the character was based on a dog in the movies from the 1920s or the 30s, and the dog that played for him was a descendant of the original dog. This is Rin Tin Tin the Fourth, but he didn't do much acting, so another dog took over. Just because you have connections doesn't mean you can do the job right. And so they battled bad guys, or like situations with Native Americans, and it was, filmed outdoors in the Simi Valley area of Los Angeles, and they had the same actors like most of the early television shows. They played multiple roles. Excuse me. And I used to watch the show when I was little. It became very popular in the 50s. They reran it for years. It's still run on Antenna TV. And I think probably early in the morning on the weekends, last I heard. And let's see. So, and they also, they did sponsors. They did commercials for Nabisco. I saw a couple clips of that on YouTube. Okay, so right now I'm going to play the theme song for The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. When I come back, I'll talk a little bit more about Lee Acker, who played Rusty. Okay, so sit back and enjoy, everyone. Thank you. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. I'm going to talk about the child actor Lee Acker. And, he passed away April 1st, 2021. So he was one of the final surviving cast members of the show. He was a little boy back then. And he appeared in a lot. He appeared in a lot of movies, famous ones, of course, and television. And let's see. He appeared in The Greatest Show on Earth. Also, let's see, High Noon, but he was uncredited. Let's see what else. Bye Bye Birdie. He was in that. That was his last movie role, from 1963. As I said before, he appeared on television, like dramas like Fireside Theater, The Ford Television Theater, Letter to Loretta, The Schlitz Playhouse of Stars, and let's see, and he also appeared in The Adventures of Spin and Marty on Walt Disney, also The Lone Ranger, The Donna Reed Show, Make Room for Daddy, and his last TV role was on The Lucy Show, where Lucy Carmichael was visiting her son Jerry at the military academy. That episode was hilarious, and I didn't pay attention to him. He was in the show. When I watch the show again, I'll see. So, she disguised herself as a soldier. So he did other odd jobs. He was a carpenter, ski instructor. Didn't return to acting. So he, like I said before, he died on April 1st, 2021. He was 77, and so his show lives on forever. It's on TV. Thank God they brought it back, because it would fall into TV oblivion. A lot of people today wouldn't remember that show. Okay. Next up, I'm going to talk about the 1960s anime series Breezely and Sneely. This show I remember fondly. I used to watch it when I was a kid on Channel 32 and WFLD TV in Chicago. It was part of a package of, how would I say it? Yeah, it was with Peter Potamus, the Peter Potamus show. When it was syndicated, it was, let's see, I'm trying to remember. It was, it was Peter Potamus, Breezy and Sneezy, and Yippee Yappy and Yahooey. So Breezly Bruin, that was his name. He was a polar bear. He lived in the Arctic, and he had his friend Sneezy Seal. The voices of Breezly was Howard Morris. He was an actor, director. You remember him. Rafe Hollister from Andy Griffith. Also, Sneezy Seal was voiced by Mel Blanc, the man of thousand voices. And and I don't know, his Breezly's purpose was to, not invade, but break into the army base. He just wanted to steal food, or if there was a party, he just I guess being a polar bear, life is boring, so he just wanted to go have some fun. And they lived in an igloo, both of them. And there was the colonel was at the army base. His name was Colonel Fusby, and he always kicked them out and told them not to come. And that was voiced by John Stevenson, also voice of Mr. Slate on the Flintstones. And When I watched the show, it was hilarious. It really was. And so it's on DVD. It was part of the Peter Potamus show. I've watched a few, and it's fun. It really is. There's one particular scene that I remember fondly where they're being chased by Colonel Fuzby and his troops. And they were running through the tundra outside, and then Sneezy was trying to sneeze, and he goes, ah, blah, blah, ah, blah, blah. And at the end, you see, ah, shoo, and you see something like a cloud. It's probably from when he sneezed. So that's funny. Right now, I'm going to play the theme song for Breezely and Sneezy. It's about 5 seconds. It's like a hit and miss. So just sit back and enjoy briefly, and I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I enjoyed the very, very briefly introduction of Breezely and Sneezy. I remember they ran the cartoon during the 1970s on Channel 32 and WFLD TV in Chicago. I ran home from school and I watched those lovely cartoons from Hanna-Barbera, not only Breezely and Sneezy, but Magilla Gorilla, Peter Potamus, Pumpkin Puss and Mush Mouse, Ricochet Rabbit and Droopalong, Yippee Yappy and Yahooey. I think I forgot someone. Let's see. I'll think of it. It'll come to me. I think I got all of them. I'm not sure. And it's fun. Oh, and yeah, it was fun. It really was. He made me laugh. He really did. Breezely, that is. And, he wore a hat and a scarf and boots. And Sneezy wore like a sailor suit. I think Sneezy was a more logical one. He always tried to persuade Breezely not to do that, but he went along, for his friend. Okay. Next up, I'll talk about Friends and Lovers. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was a sitcom from 1974, and that starred Paul Sand, that is. I'm sorry, and that was one of those great short-lived but great television sitcoms. So here we go. I'm sorry, I forgot to pull it up. Okay. It was also known as Paul Sand and in Friends and Lovers. And let's see, it first aired on September 14, 1974, ended January 4th, 1975, very briefly. Ran for one season, 15 episodes on CBS. And in the cast was Paul Sand as Robert Dreyfuss, Michael Pataki as Charlie Dreyfuss. That was his brother on the show. Also, Penny Marshall, who played Janice Dreyfuss. He played Charlie's wife. This is her first sitcom role, not her first acting role, because she'd done Odd Couple and other things. Her first starring role. So, and I think something, she probably left. I think I remember this because she played Myrna Turner on The Odd Couple, and then I remember she left the show to get married on the sitcom, and her Sheldon, her boyfriend, that was played by Rob Reiner. He was in the show, and they were married in real life. So I guess she got an offer and started on this show. I wish she came back. I liked her in Odd Couple. She was great. Of course, she went to bigger things as Laverne DeFazio, Laverne and Shirley. Also in the cast was Dick Wesson as Jack Royden, Steve Landensberg. I think that was one of his first roles on television. He's also famous for Dietrich on Barney Miller. He played Fred Meyerbeck. Craig Richard Nelson played his character's name was Mason Woodruff. And Paul Sand's parents were played by Jack Gifford as Ben Dreyfus. You remember him from the Cracker Jack commercials. And also Jen Miner as Marge Dreyfus. You remember her as Madge, the Palmolive lady. Yeah. So this sitcom, Paul Sand plays a musician, and it's set in Boston, and he got a job playing with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Nice. And he tried to, he was looking for companionship, to go out, but he got, I don't know, everything went wrong for him. So, and I remember watching this show. I really did when I was little. It was aired on Saturday nights, and I saw one or two. I liked it. It was great. You can find the episodes on YouTube if you like. And Paul Sand was a funny man. He really was. And somehow it didn't do well in the ratings because it was sandwiched between All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore Show, which incidentally he starred an episode. And I remember he played Mary's tax man. She was being audited, but he kept auditing her, but there was nothing wrong. But I think he was in love with her. But he was good in that, and it was created by the same people from the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Bob Newhart Show. And I don't know what happened. It just didn't work out, And so right now I'm going to play the theme song for Friends and Lovers, and when I come back, I'll talk a little bit about Paul Sand, his career. Thank you, everyone. Okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Friends and Lovers. That was good. That was a good theme song. Very, very nice. I'll talk a little bit about Paul Sand. I didn't know much about him until I read his biography. And he was born March 5th, 1932 in Santa Monica, California. He's started in theater. Then he then he went to Second City in Chicago, and then he starred in the Mad Show. It was a off-Broadway production inspired by Mad Magazine. That also starred Linda Lavin and Joanne Worley. And then he went on to Broadway, won a Tony Award for the Paul Sills Story Theater. That was very interesting. And then his most famous role, of course, I mentioned, was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. He played Mary's taxman. So he did some other television work. He was on Carol Burnett and also Bewitched, Wonder Woman, Fantasy Island, Laverne and Shirley, Alice, of course, Love Boat. Did a lot of television shows. He worked all the way to the end. And also he starred in the last season of Give Me a Break with Nell Carter. He did that. And he's still alive to this day. He's 90 years old. Oh, God bless him. He's a funny man. I like him. I really do. So I haven't seen him lately. So maybe he's retired. Like that. So, yeah, great actor. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about Blue Thunder. And this is from the 1980s, and this is based on the 1983 film that was released on May 13, 1983, and that starred Roy Schneider, Warren Oates, Kenny Clark, and Malcolm McDowell, and Daniel Stern. And it was about a helicopter, with police, that is, and it's an action series. So they try to find, But that was in the TV show. They had situations like that. The movie did very well. I never saw the movie. Maybe someday I will. But I'm going to talk about the television series. And the television series that premiered January 6, 1984, ended April 16, 1984, only ran for one season, 11 episodes on ABC. And none of the cast members from the movie came to television. So here's the cast. It was James Ferrantino. He played Frank Chaney. He was the pilot of Blue Thunder. You remember him from a lot of TV shows, from Dr. Toscani from Dynasty, also ex-husband of Michelle Lee from Knots Landing. Also, one of his first TV roles where it was Dana Carvey. He wasn't the church lady or or in Wayne's World. No, he was a straight A, not straight, just a ordinary guy. And his character's name was Clinton Wonderlove. He was his sidekick on the show, James Ferrantino's sidekick. Also in the cast was Sandy McPeak. He played their superior. Also in the cast was Bubba Smith and Dick Butkus. Oh boy, those two together. I think I saw them on an episode of Wonder Woman. I think they were. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think they were there. And I did see the show. I watched it maybe once, twice, maybe. It was okay, but it didn't do well in the ratings. And so, it got the boot, and then that was totally forgotten, went into TV oblivion. So right now I'm going to play the theme song for Blue Thunder. When I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about James Ferrantino. Okay? So enjoy the theme song, everyone. Thanks. Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Blue Thunder. I'm going to talk a little bit about James Ferrantino. Did a lot of television. Probably I remember from the 70s. And he was born February 24th, 1938. And let's see, did some stage roles and all that. And see what else. And I remember a TV movie called The Possessed, and that was scary. It's about someone being possessed by the devil, like that. My favorite role of him was in Night Gallery. He was in that, and he played with Michelle Lee, his ex-wife, and it's about since Aunt Ada came to town. That was played by Jeanette Nolan. Oh, she was scary, and he was great in that. I loved that, and I think he starred in Cool Million. I think that was his first TV role. It really was. I think so. And let's see what else. He was also in another episode of Night Gallery, The Girl with the Hungry Eyes. That one was good too. He played a photographer on that. And let's see what else. His most famous role in television was, of course, as Dr. Nick Toscani on Dynasty. He was only there for a year. I don't know why he stayed for a year. Maybe something was going on behind the scenes. I'm not sure. He played the estranged father of Doug Ross, played by George Clooney on ER. That was one of his last roles of that. He was married 4 times. He had a very turbulent life. And so, he was stalking people. He had drugs, and what a mess. It's I don't know. I hope that's bad. It really was. He was famous. His first wife was Elizabeth Ashley, who was married to George Peppard. Yes, they were married before, and then he married Michelle Lee. He also married Deborah Ferrantino. I think you remember her from Hooperman, that starred John Ritter. I like that show. And unfortunately, he passed away on January 24th, 2012. And that's a shame. He really was. And like I said, if you watch reruns on television in dramas or comedy, and didn't do much comedy, but mostly drama, you would see him. There he was. He was a very dependable actor. He really was good. Okay. Next up, here's an unusual show. It's called All American Girl. And this premiered on September 4th, 1994, and ended March 15th, 1995 on ABC. That starred Margaret Cho. Ran for 1 season, 19 episodes on ABC, and that starred comedian Margaret Cho. And I remember this show very well. And it was a sitcom. It starred her character's name was Margaret Kim. She was a daughter of Korean American bookstore owners in San Francisco. Her parents were played by Jody Long and Clyde Kusatsu. Also in the cast was B.D. Wong, played her brother, and Amy Hill as her grandmother. And this show was groundbreaking. It was but there was a lot of turbulence behind the scenes. And it was the first primetime sitcom to feature an Asian American family. And I remember watching this sitcom. I like Margaret Cho. She is funny. She's as a Korean, she's a comedian, and she's Korean, and I liked her like that. But somebody like the Suits and behind the scenes, they pull the strings and tell her, you can't do that. You got to do this and like that. There were reports that they forced her to lose weight, and she did lose weight, but she got sick, and she ended up in a hospital, which is terrible. And I don't know. The funny thing about it, most of the cast members were not Korean. Some were Chinese. Some were, but I think B.D. Wong was Chinese, who played her brother. I remember him from the TV series Gotham. He played Hugo Strange. He was good in that. I liked that. He was a very evil character. And let's see. So, and some were Japanese, some were Chinese, and so the only person that was Korean was, of course, Margaret Cho. She was like that. They had some great guest stars as well. Oprah Winfrey appeared, Jack Black appeared, Quentin Tarantino, Vicki Lawrence, Daniel Day Kim. Remember him from Hawaii Five-0? Ming-Na Wen. You remember her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. And also the cast was Ashley Johnson, who was Chrissy on Growing Pains. She was on the show. She was much older, like that. So, like that. So, Right now, I'm going to play the introduction of All-American Girl. And when I come back, I'll talk about a little bit about Margaret's show. Okay, so sit back and enjoy. Thank you, everyone.
God, Dakota, tonight was just so cool.
Oh, I love biking up the coast under a full moon. The animal growl in my scooter roaring in my ears. Sorry about that muffler burn.
It was worth it. I've never had someone recite his own poems while applying first aid.
I just got inspired.
It was just so cool the way you rhymed salve with calf.
I couldn't have done it without you. You're my muse, Margaret.
You mean that?
Your faith in my poetry's meant so much to me. Hey, you're the one who gave me the courage to change my name to Dakota.
I like it so much better than Sheldon Feinberg.
Me too. Oh, boy, this is hard to say.
What?
Margaret, I'm leaving San Francisco and I'm moving to Spokane.
Spokane?
They need poets in Spokane. Big poetry boom going on.
What about us?
You'll always be here.
You'll always be here? That was lame when E.T. said it, okay?
Margaret, please, I was hoping you'd understand. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to make this move if you hadn't convinced me I've got what it takes.
Yeah, well, I'm wrong a lot.
Margaret. One last kiss.
Beat it, Sheldon.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the opening of All-American Girl that starred Margaret Cho. We'll talk a little bit about her. Before I do, I want to mention the show. The show is on DVD. It's been available, and they have features of Margaret Cho doing interviews. That's looked very interesting. I might buy it. It's interesting show like that to watch. And not only she did stand-up, she did a lot of, a lot of sitcom. She appeared in a lot of sitcoms like that. And I remember she was on Dancing with the Stars. She was on that. She was good. She was funny. And she got eliminated. Not too early, but she did. And like that. So let's see what she. Her earliest role was as Dr. Fong on The Golden Palace. That's a spinoff of The Golden Girls. Yeah, I don't remember seeing her in that. And she did voice, voicing on like, for example, anime series like Duckman and The Critic. Did that? She appeared on in The Nanny, Sex and the City, Ghost Whisperer, 30 Rock. She played Kim Jong Young. I don't know why Kim Jong Il. Excuse me, not Kim Jong Young. His dad. And that was I don't know why I never saw that. It sounds interesting. And she appeared on Dr. Ken, with she was Dr. Wendy. So that's funny. But I like her a lot. She's funny. She's still working. And I think she's still doing stand-up. So you ever catch her on TV? Please do. She's a funny lady. I like her. Okay, last show I will talk about is called Century City. And this was a legal drama series, and it premiered on CBS March 16, 2004, ended January 20th, 2005, very short, 9 episodes, 1 season, and this was set in the future in Los Angeles, and it was set in a legal firm of Crane, Constable, McNeil, and Montero. And they had a lot of weird science fiction stuff like cloning, genetic profiling, antibiotics. And they use when they go to court, before judges, before a judge, they were holograms. They weren't like real people. So that was bizarre. Okay, and the cast of the show was Nestor Carbonell as Tom Montero. You remember him from Suddenly Susan. Also Viola Davis, one of her early roles. Wonderful actress. As Hannah Crane. Hector Elizondo, as Martin Constable. Oh, he's everywhere. Wonderful actor. Eric Schaefer as Darwin McNeil. Johan I can't pronounce his name. Lucas Gold. I remember him from as Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four. He was great in that. He was great like that. And also Kristen Lehman as Lee Mae Bristol. The show didn't do very well, and it's probably why I can understand why like that. So right now I'm going to play the theme song for Century City. When I come back, I'll talk a little bit more about Nestor Carbonell. Okay? So sit back and enjoy, everyone. Thank you. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the theme song for Century City. The show, there's a couple episodes on YouTube if you want to revisit and watch it. A few clips, that is. As for the actor, Nestor Carbonell, he's famous for his role in Suddenly Susan as Luis Rivera. And he was also in the series Lost, also Bates Motel, and he also played Mayor Anthony Garcia in the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. Features Batman. He was in that, and he's a very good actor. I like him. He did a lot of acting, a lot in movies. Let's see what else he was in. Yeah, he was in a lot. He really was, and also television. He was. Law and Order. He was on Melrose Place. Veronica's Closet starred Kirstie Alley, who just passed away. And he was also he did the voice of Batmanuel in The Tick, in the the animated series. Also Annie McBeal, Kim Possible, The Division, Monk was in that. Scrubs. Strong Medicine, Commander-in-Chief, he was everywhere. Everywhere. He's a great actor. I like him a lot. Okay. So folks, that's the end of this show. I'll do a recap of what I discussed today. So here we go. From the 1940s, I talked about the children's television series, The Howdy Doody Show. From the 1950s, the children's adventure show, The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin. From the 1960s, the anime series Breezly and Sneely. From the 1970s, the television sitcom Friends and Lovers. From the 1980s, the action drama Blue Thunder. From the 1990s, sitcom All American Girl. And, of course, the 2000s, the legal drama Century City. Whew, that's a lot. So I was going to do this podcast episode next year, which will be tomorrow, but I had time to do it today for the last day of 2022. So I'll probably do another one probably next week. We'll see how it goes. And so far the episodes are going very well. And because I have my other podcast, Fan Chicagoland Stories. And that one's doing extremely well with that. But I've been doing it for about a year. a year and a half, that is. So this will grow and become more popular because there are a lot of TV fans like me that love old TV shows that are largely forgotten and rarely syndicated. So it's a wonderful history to learn and to discover, certain things that you never knew about these shows and its cast members. Okay. So this is Pete Costanis, your host of TV Oblivion, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. I hope you have a safe and happy 2023. So right now, here's the Pick and Pluck song to end the show. So everyone have a great day and a great holiday. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.